From my Berkeley dorm room, this is Wes Anderson with the Back Bay Composers Podcast, Episode 1, Alan Hsiao.
You pass a girl every day on the street that'll make you turn your head to see, and your mind starts racing, putting thoughts in your head. Maybe we could date, maybe she's the one. Alan, stop right there. She's flirting with some meathead, complaining that her phone is dead.
I felt the need to play this so badly, Alan.
Really?
This is honestly, I didn't know you too well when we first met, and this song,
oh my god,
I love this song so much. I just had to play it at some point in this podcast.
Okay, a few questions first. So, are you, whenever you're doing these, are you gonna do like everybody gets like a different intro song? This isn't like
This isn't the intro song. This is
I'm just asking.
Every Back Bay Composer podcast is not going to start with
For
that
sure.
song.
Okay.
But I mean, maybe if you want it to be that way.
Okay, dude. Like, I wrote that song. That's a song I wrote.
Okay. The name of that song. Let's start there. The name of the
Sure.
song is.
It's called "Is She." I wrote it my first year here.
Is Berkeley.
At Berkeley.
Uh-huh.
Berkeley College of California. Just kidding. College of Music in Boston. I was just starting to get into lyric writing and like songwriting kind of stuff, essentially. And that was like my first kind of like jump into it. I did a recording session with some really great people. And like
was that one of your first original recordings of all original music of yours, or
probably the first ever, honestly.
Wow.
So like I didn't know too many people at the time. It was still I did it my second semester, and I wanted to have like really good bands, so I just reached out to a guy who, really knew the scene, really knew people, and like recording session stuff. So on that end, it was all cool. On my end, okay, especially with the piece we're going to talk about, like
By the Bay?
Yes, that's like the piece. This was maybe the start when I was trying to write pieces that were more like, hey, what's up? I'm Alan. I'm a guy, and I write music. I'm not just going to write instrumental whatever. I'm going to write music that says,
You're going to sing. You're going to sing.
Lyrics,
and
say,
you can do it all. I'm just not the trombone player, Alan.
Yeah, like I'm trying to put myself
Okay.
into it, more than just like, if it's just lyrics as well, people can just write dumb like, hey, what's up? I love you. I love the moon. Like things that are just like cheesy. But
yeah,
it's just like, that's my goal with a lot of the music, to just be like, okay, if I was really going to say something to somebody, this is what I'm going to say. Let me write it down. Let me sing it in a song,
So in this vein, we didn't get to this part in the song, but there is a part of the song where you give out your phone number.
Oh.
Actually,
Ready
do
to
that.
mingle. You want my number? Well, here it is.
908-458-6071.
Please give me a call.
I do. It's not my real phone number though, by the way.
Oh, it isn't your real phone? I thought for the longest time that was your real phone
yeah,
number.
it's this whole thing I set up for free that you can like have a phone number, and then there's a little recorded message, and it's cool.
What's the recorded message?
I don't know. You're gonna
We're gonna have to call and find out.
If you want to know, yeah. But like, okay, that song is pretty old now. I'm like semi-embarrassed by it, but I'm proud of what I did at the time.
You should not be embarrassed by it. I honestly still love that song.
Oh my goodness.
If I ever talk about you to anybody, I'm like, oh, this is the song you should check out.
Really?
Yeah. That, and actually By the Bay, the next song we're going to talk about, because I do love By the Bay a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Honestly,
maybe that's a good transition
Sure.
to the next song. So people who are listening in, the format of the Back Bay Composers Podcast, first off, that's a mouthful. Just
Back Bay Composers Podcast.
Yeah.
BBCPC. Well, podcast is one word, right?
Yeah.
So like whatever, but
So the format is, I'm going to ask all the guests to bring in one of their pieces that they really like and we're going to talk about, and then one piece that sort of inspired them. And so Alan picked By the Bay.
Yes.
And you won a prize for this last year, actually.
The composition department has this festival competition kind of thing, and they have different categories. I submitted this song By the Bay that I wrote originally for my band. I started. It's called
Hsiao.
Hsiao. Yeah.
Really great band. Happening on the scene in Berkeley and in
yes,
Boston.
Thank you. This band started pretty much. So when I did Is She, for example, it was the same lineup: 4 horns with different doubles and stuff, a rhythm section and vocals up front. I did that session, took some time off, started this band with a friend of mine. So to kind of more do jazz standards arrangements, but then at one point I brought in some originals, which is this first one by the Bay actually. So it's that kind of lineup. Submitted for the competition. It won for the jazz song category, and it was cool. It was a great experience.
So let's talk a little bit about the tune.
Yes.
You wrote all the lyrics yourself, right?
Yes.
And you wrote all the music by yourself and all the orchestration by yourself.
Yeah.
Really all around guy. Just like did it all.
Yeah, the lyrics, so this song actually happened during my lyric writing 1 class. This is the first time I actually took a class on how to write lyrics. And it was just for one of the projects. It started out as like a choir idea, actually.
So I have a question on that then.
Sure.
What came first for you in this writing process? Because I know you, like when I think of Alan, I'm like, oh, that's the guy who like that's how I first knew you, is writing like really great charts. But I think you have different like you're also really crazy smart theorist, great arranger, but also like a great lyricist. So what to you came first with this chart?
Still, honestly, I still feel like lyrics are pretty fresh to me in terms of my like studies and stuff.
What do you mean by fresh to you?
Like just compared to my,
you haven't worked on it as much?
Yeah, I mean, it's only been, I guess, 3 years now compared to like however many years I've been doing the other stuff. The lyrics. So for this song, I think the way it works for me is, it's hard to tell. Like I wouldn't say it was just lyrics, or just me, or just the music. I think I kind of had a bit of an aesthetic idea, like just kind of like the mood based on like, it starts out like dun, 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 dun. I'm just trying to go for something really like cute there and whatever. And I think
which is the vibe of the whole song.
The vibe of the whole song.
Cute and fun, and you're on a little date.
So I think that started first. And then, what they teach us is, do an object right, which is where you just, in terms of lyrics, you'll, the exercise, you're supposed to pick an object and just write, essentially free writing on it. For me, it was more just like the whole concept of a date by the beautiful sea or whatever.
By the bay.
By the bay, and I just, in several sessions, I wrote out just several like ideas, just good language to use as lyrics. And that process is a little separate between lyrics and music, I would say. The music stuff, spent a lot of time at the piano, just working out the, I don't know if I'm supposed to get into this right now, but like,
yeah, please.
What I did with this song in particular is a little bit different than what I normally do, or like a jazz chart when it's like, just rhythm section, you just do whatever, just do like some, dumb swing or whatever. My goal with this was to almost reverse the roles of the instruments. A lot of the chord accompaniment comes from the 4 horn players playing just, some chord stuff worked out. And piano and bass a lot of times are just playing the bass part in line with each other. Drums are pretty much semi-inactive, just simple snare stuff, until really just like the solo section, So this was a new thing for me to try out at the time, which was cool. And the lyrics were new as well. And that was I'd say that was kind of the process.
But how did the merging process between this cutesy sort of lyric idea, writing stuff, go into your concept of arranging? How did that merger happen? Did you write a melody, then put lyrics to it, or did you just...
So you mean like really about the combination of lyrics and music?
Yeah, how did that come about? Because I think that's something that that's like the real struggle with, that for me at least. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but that's really tough.
Not just with this piece, in general, just like, how do you make lyrics into music? It's kind of... A lot of it, to me, I think is almost a subconscious process. It's not something that I have like, oh, this is what I do. It's more like, while I'm in the writing process and not really thinking about it, and I'm working on lyrics, I'll sing them, and whatever just comes to mind, and whatever just kind of, and I might have a melody. It's kind of like do it as you go. It's not like this, then this. It's kind of like, okay, I don't know if you guys can see, like I'll do this much lyric with melody, and then I'll do the melody a little further without lyric, and then I'll do the lyric a little, but also I'll take sessions where I'll just write lyrics out. And you need to find rhymes as well. I talked about how I was taking a class at the time, and before I took this class, I had no idea what I was doing about lyrics at all. Like, this class was a basic level class, but it really helped me out, and it gave me an appreciation of what kinds of things really make strong lyric writing. Rhymes are really cool. If you I don't know, whoever even likes lyrics or whatnot or whatever, but like rhyming is kind of like it's a reason why it's in everything, and you might be like, well, duh, but I didn't really get it at the time.
I don't either. Still, I don't get, like, why do I have to rhyme?
Sure. Going back to the is she at the time, there's really not a lot of standard song form rhyme scheme in there. But that song is early example where there's not a lot of rhyme stuff going on, and so like, there's some weaknesses to that. This song, the part of the lyric process was finding the rhymes and making sure they also looking back, I'm not sure if I think this has a more internal rhyme within lines, but also this isn't super standard song form either. By the Bay, I was trying to also explore some options in terms of how it's not regular song form as well. Anyway, yeah, whatever your original question was, it just kind of went there.
So it's sort of back to the question at hand. How did the merger work? It seems like it's really subconscious in your mind, and just working on both separately really helped bring them together.
It's like you can take the time to separate you can take the time to isolate individual elements and work on them on their own, but all the while, I think, semi-subconsciously, you're kind of figuring out how it all works together anyway, without really having to, think about it, I get excited about chords and whatever, so I'm always thinking about that, even when I'm just working on the lyrics, and the melody, rhythm, everything, I think that part of it kind of just happens, honestly.
One thing I just really find so funny about your music, your songs are really funny. They just really are. Like, when I listen to them, I relate to them, and I really have a chuckle almost every time. Like in By the Bay, using the word bay as in significant other to rhyme with bay.
We're together by the bay. Spending all my time with bay.
Honestly, though, that term, I mean, I don't even know how it like first started in terms of like pop music or whatever, but like I think it's like almost gone from like pop language.
I know.
And like people are gonna be like, what does that even mean anymore? Which is fine, but it's cool.
And then in Is She, you have all these hilarious lines about she's talking to some meathead and all this stuff that's just really funny. And like, is that something you think about when you write? Do you think about, oh, I'm gonna be funny in this song, or is it like, oh, I want to take myself seriously in this song?
So for example, if we're gonna talk about my own original songs with lyric process and what that journey has been, timeline, it was Is She, decent amount of break, writing standards arrangements, so not original lyrics. By the Bay, I wrote another piece, Suburban Illusion. Then I've been working on some newer stuff lately. So I think there's I'm gonna call it song, like, literal songwriting or just lyric writing. There's several veins I might work from. There's like the, hey, what's up? I'm Alan. I'm single. I like, I'm gonna talk about dating in this song. There's that, thing. There's like Suburban Illusion was something where it's a little more like semi-serious, semi like, trying to have a different kind of message going on. And then like, honestly, I just write so many songs about girls and dating that it's like, that's pretty much like it so far. But even within that, Is She was more like almost like
being fun.
It was like pretty much disregarding a lot of like lyric writing concepts because I didn't know about them at the time. By the Bay was a little more into it. Then there's songs that are less honest, less about like, like my own super personal, like, I'm gonna say dumb, hey, hi, I'm Alan, and then more just like semi following the format of a standard. There's another. I don't know how many. If I'm supposed to be going into like a bunch of different
Please
pieces.
go into detail. I mean, just bring it all up. Just bring
okay.
everything up.
There's a song that I'm working on. I have been working on for a while. Called "I Hardly Know You," which is also about the same kind of topic, but it's less personal, like I said, and more. The lyrics are more in the fashion of a traditional jazz standard, but there's still an element of like it makes sense to me. It's talking about being shy and like I don't really know what to say, but I like you, but it's not like I literally just said, hey, I'm really shy, I don't know what to say, I like you, that's what I mean. So I think if we're gonna talk like in that sense, there's like a spectrum, there's being really honest and like direct, and then there's the oh man, figurative versus literal. This was a really big thing to me at the time.
Explain it, because I have no idea what that means.
I might be using the wrong terms, but they're my terms anyway when I'm talking about them, so who cares, right? To me, when people talk about art and writing, figurative is like figurative language. Like we're going to use metaphors and symbols, and we're going to be all like, gooey and whatever, to, just not be as direct. Whereas literal writing is like, okay, I'm going to say what I mean to say, the same way I would say to Wes if I was like, hey, Wes, nice shirt, so
thanks.
You can all see the shirt, right? It's cool. So to me, that's like an important thing to consider when you're writing lyrics. Do I want to be super figurative or do I want to be super literal? By the Bay is a little more in between, I would say. She is like very literal. I Hardly Know You is more figurative, not super figurative, because I'm not a super figurative guy, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. That's, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explain what that kind of thing is like. And I do think about it. I definitely do. Because to me, that's a very important thing to consider when you're going to write lyrics about whatever, it is very important to me. Yes.
Final answer.
Yes.
Wow.
Final answer. $500.
So let's move on then to the piece. I don't think we actually decided upon the piece that you want to talk about.
I think
that's inspired you.
I think I do want to talk about. There is a nice song by Bob Brookmeyer. Don't know how many people. It's weird. Like everybody who's into like jazz composition, I think they're like, oh, obviously Bob Brookmeyer. But then anybody who's even like just jazz is like, yeah, he's okay. What does he play? Like he plays valve trombone, which is what he does. But to me, and to like everybody, like amazing composer arranger in the jazz big band idiom.
How would you describe his music to somebody who doesn't even know anything about jazz?
Okay. What do they know about tones? Do they know about like pitches?
Non-musician.
It's very smart, but also not like, like.
What do you mean by smart?
Like, very complicated things are involved in his music that are very like, oh man, that'll impress you in that kind of way. But it's also very relatable and easy to listen to, in my opinion. It depends on the song. But like he knows how to do it.
Depends on the song for sure.
The song that I picked is super pretty, just nice. But there's, the other stuff that's in there that's so Bob,
He taught right around the corner from us, from where we're sitting, actually.
He taught at New England Conservatory.
Like literally a block that way, and you're there.
Oh, really?
So
a lot of the teachers here at Berkeley studied with him, and I took a Bob Brookmeyer composition class here. Is one of the times I really got to dig into his writing a bit more. So it's interesting. There's a lot of people really respect him a lot in the jazz composition community, and whatever the stuff that he used to teach, his writing is really passed down, I think, especially at Berkeley, is what it has been for me. Yes. The piece is called Cameo.
Okay. From
his album New Works Celebration. This is one of the later tracks on it. It was shown to me in the class I was just talking about.
The first time I learned about Bob Brookmeyer was in this book, Inside the Score.
Oh, good book.
This was one of my first comp books I ever got, and I read it like crazy. I didn't understand it because I was dumb when I got it, but
I don't own it. I've only
it's a really
looked at it.
Good book.
They have Hello and Goodbye in there.
Yeah.
Which gets into some of his cool like cluster stuff.
Yeah, they also have, what's the other tune? ABC Blues, where he does like a bunch of 12-tone stuff.
Yeah,
I'm really into that as like a class comp, like a big Schoenberg fan. I think that's interesting.
Big shot over there.
I'm not a big shot. No, you're in the real. Like when I say to people at Berkeley, they're like, "Oh, you study comp?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh my gosh, what's your favorite big band composer?" And I'm like, "Oh no, sorry, I'm in just comp. I'm not in jazz comp."
Oh man,
Yikes.
people don't even. I don't even talk to people who ask those questions, Wes.
Oh really? Well, maybe you just never experienced that. They're just like, "Oh, cool, you play jazz music." And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh man, that's funny. So, like I was saying before, to me, Bob Brookmeyer, in all of his writing, he's like, or through the span of his writing, he's capable of like really smart, sophisticated, big band writing. That's, a lot about development, long form. In general, let me just say this really quickly. The biggest thing that drew me to Bob Brookmeyer's writing before in my study of vertical harmony is the fact a lot of his voicings for the big band stuff, there's a little bit of something gross going on there, something that's just like woo, but it's like good. It's like good gross writing.
The gross that makes you say yes,
yes,
not ew.
Yeah. Similar in Thad Jones' writing, but I think his is coming more from symmetrical, diminished concepts, whereas Bob, I think he really just isolated the idea of just minor seconds, flat nines, just kind of hidden within the parts. So that's the stuff to me that makes Bob Brookmeyer like a really amazing writer. And throughout some of his other charts, he can get really like hectic, really just like stuff that just goes nuts. To me, this song is an example of how he can write something that's just really beautiful and simple. Also, his playing on there, he's valve trombonist, just amazing playing.
That's the first time I've actually heard him play.
He's good. I mean, a lot of other people don't even know he's a big band writer. They just know him as the valve trombone player because he kept up with that skill set as well. He's an amazing,
which is incredible, like crazy to think about. How can you be an incredible trombonist?
I know, right?
And
dude, he's so cool.
Composer, man.
So that's why I really like this chart. It's simple, it's pretty, but there's the example of that, gross note writing there sometimes. That really cool part where he's like soloing and then the band responds to him in these hits, like just like smart, like cool ideas that are really fresh. You don't really see this kind of writing in other places. Yeah,
that's awesome. I think it's a perfect embodiment to what I know you as this trombone player who like writes smart, good charts that are sort of harmonically sophisticated but really fun to listen to, because I feel a lot of times with people our age, they just write smart music and it doesn't really sound like music I would want to listen to for fun.
Yeah, I mean, if I could speak to that for a bit, to me, in thinking about what a lot of other composers or people writing around our age, to me it's super important as a writer, as an artist, whatever, to just be really clear about what you want, to have like a very clear vision. If you really like, cerebral, sophisticated writing and you spend a lot of time and that's your thing, that could be great too. I think the problem is when people don't even really think about what they really want and they just kind of go, and it's like, okay, well, what are you really trying to say here? That's really what kind of put me onto the path of writing the way I have been writing, more some simple stuff but still trying to include. That's what I love. I call this like, and maybe it's already called this, neo-traditionalist big band writing. It's like it's still along the form of like the way people would write traditional big band charts, but there's like just like really cool stuff just thrown in there. Add an extra bar, change the form a little bit, include gross whatever, like just that kind of writing really speaks to me. To me, Bob is probably the best guy for that kind of thing.
Is that your next book coming out, Neo-Traditional Big Band Writing by Alan Hsiao?
Dude, I can't do that. I can't do that. There's so much more for me to figure out before I can. I might write a book about like vertical tones and whatever. Tension 35.
Yeah, Tension 35.
Yeah,
We'll have to have you on another episode just so you and Mike can discuss your insane theory system.
Just heads up for everybody. You know,
there's a Tension 35.
It goes all the way up there. That's all I'm gonna say for now.
It exists. It's there. If you don't think so, you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. Sorry.
It goes past 12. It's they're all there.
Yes. Yeah.
Check out Alan on YouTube and on Facebook, or his band A Sham on Facebook.
Yes.
Thanks again, Alan, so much for coming. We're going to
course.
listen to By the Bay on our way out.
For sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wes.
We take the early Sunday train, step out into the sun, walk a few blocks down. I wonder, can I hold your hand? But I suppose you wonder too. First we walk along the sandy shore. We take our sandals off and dip our feet into the water. The coldness splashes on your yellow dress as the sunbeams lay across your soft pale skin. I lean in slightly for a kiss, but I miss and fall into the waves. We're out together by the bay on a sunny day in May. Nothing but the sky, the sea, the shore, and you and me. We're out together by the bay, spending all my time with Bay. We're out together by the bay. Okay, that's it. Yes, thank you, everybody.